Evacuations in Northwood. The entire town has been relocated after a fire at Northwood Ag Products this morning. We're live near the scene with the latest information. We're also getting our first look at the KIMT Community Center, where several residents are staying while the situation unfolds.
The snow is finally here. We'll be talking about how much snow we'll be seeing across the area in just a few moments.
We have full coverage on the fire in Northwood next on KIMT News 3 Midday.
KIMT News 3. Iowa, Minnesota, together. This is KIMT News 3's Midday.
Good Thursday afternoon to you all. It is February 20th, 2014. Thank you for joining us on Midday. Our coverage today centers around the situation happening in Northwood. At this hour, there are evacuations in the small North Iowa community. To complicate the situation, a blizzard is on the way. Here's a look at why this evacuation is happening. There's a fire at a facility known as Northwood Ag Products. There's a concern now because there are chemicals inside, including sulfuric acid. Those close to the situation tell KIMT News 3 the most toxic chemicals include herbicides and insecticides, which, if inhaled, can make people sick. Mercy Medical Center North Iowa tells us they have had 4 people walk into their facility because of this emergency situation. They are also prepared to take in more residents. One good thing, there's no anhydrous ammonia, which is an explosive. The National Weather Service has issued a civil emergency message for Worth County. It basically warns of an imminent threat to public safety and that there is an ongoing emergency. Mason City firefighters tell us several members of their hazardous materials team are on the site. Those technicians are specially trained to handle these types of situations. Now, as the news was breaking this morning, our reporters have been on top of the situation, and that includes KIMT News 3's Levi Ismail, who was the first on the scene. He joins us live with more in this developing and dangerous situation. Levi?
Tyler, I'm right here on the corner of Highway 105 and Pheasant Avenue, and behind me, probably about a mile away, you can kind of vaguely see where firefighters and emergency crews are working on the fire. So far, no word yet of if the fire was contained. Not too long ago, we were still seeing streams of water from the fire hydrants and everything actually going into the fire. Right now, we are probably, I'd say, a good mile away. Authorities say that this is probably the safest part right now. Earlier today, there were dark clouds and wind was blowing some of those clouds back into town, making it a lot harder for people to be able to see, and not to mention some of those chemicals that you mentioned earlier. Those chemicals, we still don't know what they might be, and fortunately right now they're still trying to figure out if those chemicals may be harmful to anyone who is inside town. But at this moment, we do know that the authorities are trying to make sure that everyone is safely away from town. If you look at the video that we have right here, this is video from earlier today where some of the fire, as you can see, was billowing and some of the smoke was billowing into town, making it very hard for authorities and emergency crews to actually stay on top of things. But right now, from what we've heard, is that they are evacuating town. They're trying to make sure the radius is as far as possible for the looming winter storm. Tyler?
All right, thank you very much, Levi. We will check in with Levi if there are any immediate updates before the end of the newscast. He'll be on the scene for the entire half hour. Now, making the situation even more difficult is a blizzard moving in. Meteorologist Tyler Roney is over in the Storm Team 3 forecast center. Tyler, that blizzard is already hitting parts of the viewing area, and wind speeds are going to be picking up very soon, right?
That's right. Visibilities are already very poor across the area. You saw that earlier on. Of course, we have a lot of moisture still in the air. The wind's still a primary concern, and now the snow is arriving. Here's what things look like outside, just to point out. In Rochester, it's still very, the fog is still hanging around. Same story in Clear Lake. But we'll kind of shift our focus now to the winds. Earlier on, they were kind of screaming out of the east. And for now, it still kind of is the case, 15 to 20 miles an hour generally. But look off to the west. There's the big wind direction change. Now the winds are going to be coming out of the northwest, and it will be very strong as we go through this afternoon. Speaking of the snow, it is now arriving in the southwestern part of our viewing area. Those dark blues indicate very heavy snow. It's just to the southwest of Mason City, basically along I-35. It will keep moving northeast and intensify. We will talk amounts and when it would all come to an end in just a few moments.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much, Tyler. Many of those evacuated are being bused in nearby KIMT, just west of Northwood. The tiny town is bursting at the seams as its regular population is normally just over 200. KIMT News 3's Dee Dee Steepen has much more on that. Dee Dee.
I'm here in Kensett at the community center where people have been gathering for about the past hour. They've been evacuated from their homes in Northwood. This shelter right now is about reaching capacity. They're talking about opening up a second shelter in a church in town, also a triage unit for anybody who might have inhaled any of the chemicals. People with pets are asked to go to City Hall at this point to separate the two. The Red Cross has been contacted. Cots will be coming in as well as food for people. Right now they're asking people to stay calm, do not drive to the scene, and they'll let people know as soon as they get more information.
Thank you very much, Didi. Correction, Kensett is south of Northwood, not west. Also, we just heard moments ago that Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Manly is also opening for any folks who still need shelter. Our leaders in Washington are also reacting to this emergency. U.S. Representative Bruce Braley says in part that his thoughts and prayers go out to the community of Northwood as they respond to this incident. He adds he will continue to monitor the situation in his district and stands ready to work with local and state officials to help in any way. Senator Tom Harkin has also responded on the situation, saying, "My thoughts are with the residents of Northwood and all those affected by the ongoing emergency at Northwood Municipal Airport. I urge all Iowans in this area and the surrounding areas to find a safe place until this emergency situation is resolved." We have reached out to Senator Chuck Grassley, and he says he's checking on the FEMA response and expects funds to be available in the recovery efforts. We've also reached out to Congressman Steve King, and so far have not heard back, but will pass along his thoughts as well. Well, it is not only people in homes and businesses evacuating. The community is also moving people in nursing homes and even inmates. KIMT News 3's Amy Fleming talked to several people involved with that process, and she joins us now with more from Studio 3. Amy?
Thank you very much, Tyler. I did speak with a Worth County dispatcher who told me that a lot of people are being evacuated, of course, and specifically I talked to her about the jail. Where are they taking the inmates? And she said that they are all evacuated from the jail with law enforcement officials, dispatchers, and emergency personnel remaining. At least 2 of those prisoners, or inmates rather, were moved to the Cerro Gordo County Law Enforcement Center. Jailers in Cerro Gordo County told me they are working with Worth County to help as needed. The emergency management coordinator for Cerro Gordo and Franklin County says they are doing their best to keep people calm.
Yeah, we'll be keeping track of these people, letting them know what's happening, get them back as quick as we can. As far as at the scene, that'll be up to the incident commander what information they release.
Now, another big move, those who live at the Lutheran Retirement Home in Northwood. I talked to one of the employees there who told me they quickly made arrangements to move their residents out. And it sounds like, all things considered, everything is happening very smoothly, with offers pouring in from several counties and communities to help out as needed. And I know, for example, the director at the IOF home, Deb Haugen in Mason City, reached out to nursing home directors in Northwood. Deb says the Northwood community is receiving numerous offers to help and that they greatly appreciate it. Tyler?
Okay, thank you, Amy. We also reached out to nursing homes and the jails in southern Minnesota. They say they have not received any word of needing to help out at this point in time. Disaster workers from the American Red Cross have been mobilized to help with this situation from across the state. The workers are helping with the Kensett Community Center. Right now, volunteers are traveling from the Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and Waterloo areas to assist in anything that is needed. If you have any questions, you can contact the American Red Cross at 515-243-7681. Up next on Midday, we're sitting down with a first responder to get an inside look at how crews on the scene are handling the situation. Stay with us.
You are watching KIMT News 3's Midday, Iowa, Minnesota together.
Welcome back. At this hour, there are evacuations in the small North Iowa community of Northwood. To complicate the situation, a blizzard is on the way. We're going to have a check of that forecast in just a couple of minutes. Here's a look at why the evacuations are happening. A fire at a chemical facility known as Northwood Ag Products. The fire is still burning in that building. There is a concern now because there are chemicals inside, including sulfuric acid. Those close to the situation tell KIMT News 3 the most toxic ones include herbicides, and insecticides, which if inhaled can make people sick. Mercy Medical Center North Iowa tells us they have had 4 people walk into their facility. Because of this emergency situation, they are prepared to take in more residents. So what is the danger at this plant because of this situation? For a little perspective on what crews are dealing with, we're talking with Billy Kreft. He's with the Clear Lake Fire Department, now in with us this afternoon. Billy, what's the first thing that first responders are kind of doing when they've learned about the fire, and now what are they taking care of now?
Well, the threat by any number of chemicals present at the plant, whether there be herbicides or pesticides, are determined by the toxicity of the chemical and the volume and length of exposure. Some chemicals are carcinogenic. When we're in a fire situation, generally you can extinguish a fire made by these types of chemicals by done with water, foam, CO2, or dry chemical. Firefighters must use an SCBA when extinguishing a fire, as inhalation can be toxic or worse. Contact with the eyes can cause irritation of the eyes and in extreme cases damage to the cornea. Contact with the skin, extended exposure to the skin can cause irritation such as redness and itching. Now when we talk about the sulfuric acid threat, the primary threats associated are direct contact with the skin, which can cause burns and tissue damage. Long-term exposure to low concentrations or short-term exposure to high concentrations can result in adverse health effects from inhalation. It may react violently with water, and when it's heated, it emits highly toxic fumes.
All right. Good information, Billy, and a lot of information. And in a short time, I'm sure we'll be talking to you later today on KIMT News 3. We are continuing to learn more about this plant fire as the day progresses. Many residents are concerned about the chemicals used in the plant that are now in the air. KIMT's Annie Satowski joins us now live from our newsroom. Annie, tell us what you can about Northwood Ag Products itself.
Well, Tyler, we've made several calls trying to get more details about the specific types of chemicals involved in the fire. Here's what we know so far. The building is Northwood Ag Products on Central Avenue in Northwood. It's part of Farmers Feed and Grain Company, Inc. Now, that company is based in Riceville, but they have several other offices, fertilizer plants, and elevators across North Iowa, including Charles City, St. Ansgar, and Stacyville. Northwood Ag was founded in 1987. They have 1 to 4 employees and an estimated annual revenue of $2.5 to $5 million. It is a storage facility specifically for liquid fertilizers. Those include herbicides like weed killers and insecticides. Now, those can make people feel sick and become ill if inhaled. Anhydrous ammonia is not present at the facility, and that chemical is what caused an explosion at a fertilizer plant in Texas last spring. And I spoke with officials at both the Riceville Elevator and Northwood Ag Products. They were not able to comment on the situation. Tyler?
Okay, thank you very much, Annie. The Red Cross has set up a number for those impacted by the emergency. Again, we want to repeat that number. It's 515-243-7681. We also have that number posted on our website, KIMT.com. Now, road closures are happening because of this situation. As we mentioned before, Highway 105 is closed and Highway 65 near Northwood as well. We'll keep you updated. Again, all the information on KIMT.com. We are getting a full recap of the blizzard and how the weather is affecting the entire region when we come back.
Well, the heavy snow is finally here. We've already had reports of thunder snow around the Titanca and Ventura area, and you can see why. Not too far off from the southeast of Mason City, that's still falling as rain, and some of those yellows you're seeing up on radar is some of that embedded thunder. We talked yesterday about how we had the potential to see thunder snow, and here it is. This is how we get our very intense snowfall rates of around 1 to 2 inches an hour. So it's going to keep spreading its way north and east, and now the snowfall is really going to start piling on. Visibilities across the area are down as a result, even before the snow arrived along and east of I-35 because of that fog still in place. Under a mile in Charles City, 2 miles Rochester, 2.5 in Austin, under a mile now in Mason City, and these visibilities will be getting even worse as the afternoon goes along. Temperatures are we're all right at 34 degrees, still above the freezing mark for now, but we'll see that temperature drop as this afternoon also goes on. Wind speeds also starting to change direction now. We're out of the north and west around 20 miles an hour in the west, still out of the east just off to the east, and what we'll be seeing is once that low pressure system passes by that's bringing all these intense thunderstorms and snow showers to the area, we're going to be seeing those winds directions changing to the northwest and picking up in speed. Look at this temperature difference from Kansas City to St. Louis. That's about 30 degrees. Whenever there's a big temperature difference on the map, you know there's a big storm nearby. Off to the north and west, temperatures are already starting to cool down to the lower 20s, and that's what we can start to expect later on tonight. Heavy rain out to the east. Des Moines had thunder snow and thunder sleet. We're experiencing some of that right now in portions of our viewing area, and as you can see, that snowfall starting to pick up in intensity behind it. It's going to keep moving north and east, so expect heavy snowfall for the next several hours before things start to wind down by tonight. So we have our main area of low pressure off to our south and west, but just off to the north is an upper level low pressure system, which really is just enhancing this entire thing and giving us heavier snowfall amounts. So snow still persisting around 6 o'clock tonight. It'll keep moving off to the north and east. We'll be left with just some lingering snow showers around midnight, but it's when the winds start to get bad around 6 o'clock tonight that it will get even worse outside, even worse than the heavy snow that's taking place right now. So we're going to fast forward things as we get into later on tonight. We are looking at a solid 4 to 8 inches across the area. Further north and east, some of those purples showing up, that's about 10 inches of snow, and that won't be too far off in our viewing area, but most will see that 4 to 8 inch range. Lower 30s today, snow showers, winds already starting to pick up, but they'll be around 35 miles an hour later on. Overnight lows, the lower double digits to a few middle teens. Snow coming to an end. However, look at this. Gusts will be approaching 50 miles an hour. We will start out tomorrow with winds around 25 miles an hour, enough to blow that snow around, and they'll eventually calm down by the end of the day. It'll be a little bit cooler tomorrow as well. I want to point that out. Lower to middle 20s. The next 7 days will show cooler air, but we'll be in the middle teens by the weekend. A pretty quiet weekend. Give us a nice opportunity to dig out from today's snow. Otherwise, Monday mostly cloudy, and then we have a few mornings starting out below zero again. Wednesday morning, sunshine will be back with us, but so will temperatures below zero, 5 degrees below zero, that is. 11 for the high, and cooler air will follow that as we get into the end of next week. Over to you, Tyler.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Our coverage of the Northwood facility fire continues. When we come back, don't go anywhere. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, the city of Northwood has been evacuated because of a fire at Northwood Egg facility. Now Northwood Egg Products, excuse me. Levi Ismail has been live. He was first on the scene. We're going to join him now with any updates that he might have. Levi?
Tyler, I was here earlier today, just coming up Highway 65. You could definitely see the black smoke just billowing from everywhere heading into town. Just recently, we just saw some of the sheriff's office, sheriff patrolmen actually heading in towards the fire area. I don't know if you can kind of see behind me, just vaguely, there are some lights back there. We can't really tell exactly what's going on, but we do know that at this point, some of the sheriff's office and some of the state patrolmen actually made their way over to the fire. So at this point, the actual town has been evacuated. We have been able to figure out that the chemicals have been connected to some sort of fertilizer equipment. So at this point, we are still trying to figure out, what's going to be happening next. I was told that the winter conditions are actually playing a big factor right now, and right now we're actually just trying to figure out how far away the weather is going to be before we can actually make our way back towards town. Tyler?
All right, thank you very much, Levi. Again, one more time, you can get all of the information, KIMT.com. We have a breakdown of everything that has been happening. Stay with us. One more look at what's happening in Northwood and of your forecast when we come back. The town of Northwood has been evacuated. Evacuees are in Kensett, Manly, and surrounding communities. You can call the Red Cross for any information. We also have all of the details to this story on KIMT.com, and it's not good because of the blizzard outside as well.
All right, snow is picking up. We are looking at another 4 to 8 inches across the region by tomorrow morning. It's going to be a very bad afternoon and night.
Complete coverage 4, 5, 6, and 10. We'll see you then.